Roll call 219 here, and I just got done building this firearm right here. This is an AR15, chambered in 5.56 .223, so it's your typical caliber. So we're gonna run through this rifle and explain from front to back what I put on this. When I make these guns, I want to try and do it in a budget-minded way. So people that are just coming into ARs, or they're going to build their first rifle, or even if they buy a rifle off the shelf, that they start figuring out what the components are and how they work and things of that nature. Unfortunately, I should have filmed this and put it on guntube.org or Gunstreamer, but I got home from work. I had to do all kinds of stuff. It's a little bit past midnight now, and I'm just dragging butt, man, from work and everything today. So we're gonna run through this from the front, or from the back to the front. There you go. That's how tired I am. So again, I was trying to keep it budgety, and it didn't quite work out that way. Not the way that I wanted it to go. So for the back part of this firearm, I have an ATI stock buffer tube, spring, all the bells and whistles that come with a buffer tube is all from ATI. Not happy. I've watched a couple of videos where people have kind of complained about ATI, and now I see why. I've installed a ton of stocks on AR-15s, and I have never had so much trouble of mating these two pieces together when they're from the same company and they're supposed to go together. It's just a standard mil-spec buffer tube and spring and blah blah blah. But look at that. Look at that. It doesn't click, and then to pull it back, you gotta kind of tap it to get it to go in place. I even threw some rim oil in there in the channel just to see if it would slide a little bit better, and it just doesn't. It just doesn't. I don't know what it is. Maybe because it is late that I installed it wrong, or I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a look at it. But if I can't get this thing to function correctly, the way I need it to function, then this whole back end of it, this is gonna be taken off, man. And I'm gonna replace it with some different parts, and I'd either give it away or sell it to somebody else. On the back of it, I don't know if you can see it. Let me get in there. I put that back plate on there. It is a little bit discolored with this back plate, but I wanted to have two options because we do have somebody that's left-handed in the household. So if something would happen, I could put a sling on here, and it could go on either side, and it can go on the side for the lefty. I was looking for a different type of charging handle, and we'll get to that here in a second. The lower's an Anderson lower. You can find Anderson lowers. I was at Bass Pro the other day. I was finding them as low as $39.99. At my shop, they were a little expensive. They were $59.99, so that's a $20 increase. But I think they were having a sale instead of just being, whether it be $49.99 or $59.99. For the disclaimer, parts are hard to find. I mean, unless you're gonna go balls to the wall and start throwing BCM parts on here, just trying to find an upper was a total nightmare. And if I did find uppers, and I found a bunch of them, they were in 6.5 Creedmoor. They were in the configuration of 7.62 by 39. Just stuff that right now I'm just not interested in building because I want to build some specific guns that I think I need around the house, and you know, in this kind of crises times we're living in. So I'm not into the point where I'm just building some of these rifles for S's and G's. These are all going to serve a purpose one way or the other. So I want to throw that in there. Moving forward here, it's got basic mil-spec parts for the Selector, and the bolt catch is just a normal bolt catch. The dust cover, I haven't replaced it yet, but just basic mil-spec parts on there. The trigger guard, I had the stuff here. Hold on. The trigger guard is from LBE. I bought this some time ago. I bought it LBE Unlimited trigger guard. It was $5.99 for a trigger guard, so that wasn't really smart. But I bought it from Copper Customs. You all guys know Tim from Military Arms channel, and this was before the pandemic. So I was just collecting parts here and there, and trigger guards are pretty basic. If you find them, I always scoop them up, because you never know when you go to build an AR. You just, oh, I don't have a trigger guard. Oh, I gotta go look in my parts box, and boom, there's one there. So that's what's on there. The trigger's a decent trigger. I got it from Palmetto State Armory. I think I paid something like 20 bucks, 22 bucks or something. Maybe 25 maybe with the shipping and stuff. And I got it on one of their daily deals, and it was on sale. Always look for those daily deals when you're running Palmetto State or Classic or places like that. Midway USA, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. When you get those free shipping deals and the daily deal on the daily deals, take advantage of that. That will lower your cost, and they're pretty good parts for what you're paying. So always keep that up there in the memory bank. Now, and the grip is just a Magpul grip. It's just a standard Magpul grip. I like the texture on this one. I did, the lower was already built. I just didn't have upper or the butt end of it. But the lower was already built. And I had a different Magpul grip on there, and it was brown, because I was going to trick it out and make it brown. For one of just my S&G builds that I was going to start. But I figured with what's going on now, I'm like, well, I'm going to build a rifle that a left-hander can at least mess around with. So I'm probably going to change some of these parts on there to make it a more of a left-hander friendly type of deal. But with the charging handle, again, this was the theme of this one, because it was just going to be a S&G build, the Moulin Bay. We all know about that. This is the charging handle. If you guys don't know Sarge from C4 Defense, this is from KM Tactical. If you go look on his channel, some of those guys, when we were at Wanamaker the last few years, they bought stuff from them. I believe it was Bolt Carrier Group. Didn't work for him. It was a horrible experience for Sarge and some of the other guys. I think they complained about it. I think they got 2 of them, and they didn't function well. So, but my stuff from KM Tactical, I got this charging handle, and then I got a dust cover that's going to get changed out. But it seems to work. It seems to function good. I don't have any kind of issues so far. So I don't have any kind of issues with it. So hopefully it'll run well. I know Sarge wasn't happy with his Bolt Carrier Group from them. I seen some of the parts that they had, and I scooped up some mil-spec, buffer detent springs and detents alone, shit like that from them. Hopefully they'll be reliable. Bolt Carrier Groups is another thing we're just about to talk about. So on top of it, on top of the upper, this upper again is from Midway USA. This is an AR Stoner. Don't know who AR Stoner is. I haven't really heard too much about them and their uppers. But I was kind of, I would say, leery of it. I think I paid $400. It was 3 something, and then shipping and handling was outrageous. So I paid a little bit over $400 for this upper. It's got a full Picatinny rail, and then the M-LOK system underneath. I like the full length rail system. It works well, man. If you can get something like this, because you can start putting a lot of good optics on there. Now here comes some gripes, some rants and raves. I wanted to put a front sight on here because it has no front sight. Well, if you look at the M-Bus stuff from Magpul, that stuff is molded. So when I went to go slip it on here and put it on the front, if you look there, that's a beefy girl right there. That's what that prevented the Magpul's front sight from getting on this gun. So that's a gripe I have about that. If AR Stoner would ever do it again, I think they should leave this big beefy part off of there and just have it standard Picatinny. There's a couple different spots there with that beefier rail. I think there's another one somewhere along this rail section, but not impressed with that. Everybody knows that M-Bus stuff. Just front and rear sights alone are an arm and a leg, and especially if you start jumping into name brand stuff. This is just a UTG. UTG is a company I talked to at the NRA show. Interesting company, man. They make budgety stuff for the common man. It's nothing special, nothing spectacular. I've used their products before and never had a problem with them. I never had to deal with their customer service because nothing's ever broke from them. But we're going to figure out about this front sight real quick. Again, you have to flip it up. It doesn't have the lever. That's why I like the M-Bus stuff, because you just tap it and boom, it pops up. This one you physically have to do it, and then you physically have to push this little pin right there. You got to push that in for it to go down. It does have windage and elevation stuff on there with the little peep sights in there, if you can see it right there. But that's what I had to go with, because if you look at this, I don't know if you can see it. Let me turn it over. Right here where it screws off, that separates away from the base of the sight. So then when it separates, you can make it fatter or longer. The M-Bus stuff, again, is molded, so you can't do that. That's why these sights fit on there. So I might have to go to my local, and for now, just get the front sight, UTG front sight, and put it on here. It's not that I don't like the company. I'm just not a big fan of their sights. But I'm going to have to put that on there because my other ones don't fit. And it's frustrating when that happens. I made another video looking at this thing, and hopefully it's not overgassed or undergassed, or it's pretty spot on. I haven't shot it yet, but again, this is a budget upper, so I mean, expect the unexpected. If you look at Travis P11 channel over on YouTube, go check him out if you don't know who he is. He bought an upper from Bear Creek, and Bear Creek's kind of in that budgeted mode, and he had problems with a loose gas tube or something like that. So hopefully I don't have a problem out of this. I did take the bolt carrier group out of this gun and wasn't really satisfied with the staking on the bolt carrier group. Not in the slightest. Whether that's going to make a difference or start creating reliability issues or possibly catastrophic issues, I don't know. We're going to have to put rounds through here. I hope not. But I've been thinking, and to tell you the truth, I've been really looking at a different bolt carrier group to throw in there, and hopefully I can find something that's going to be compatible with this upper. Again, I don't know much about AR Stoner. When I research these guys, there's an older gentleman out in Arizona who had bought one of these, and one of his gripes, again, was some of the blemishing on the upper itself. And I did have some of those blemishing problems with this one, but it's nothing. I mean, it's nothing huge. It's not a deal breaker for me. A lot of people Well, I can't scratch my gun. I can't. I mean, well, then why do you have it? That was one of his gripes. Shipping for me was kind of long and tedious because we're in the cocoa pandemic, so it took a minute to get here, but it came here on the day that they sent me the email and said it would be at. So that's cool. And this is from Midway USA, and they were really polite. And I got to send them an email because they wanted to know a little bit more about me. Probably not gonna like it, but I'm gonna tell them what I'm about, what I do here on YouTube and reviewing stuff. So far, shipping was fine. I mean, dealing with what we're dealing with now, they were very responsive. If you haven't never bought anything from Midway USA, go look at their website. They got quite a bit of stuff on there. If you're looking for something, might be a viable option. It might be a viable option because it's hard to get a hold of AR parts. It's hard to get hold of magazines and even firearms at this point. So maybe that would be another option or another piece you can put in the arsenal to help you complete your journey through the firearms way. So I'll shoot them an email, and then I've got about, I think I could spare about 500 rounds to put through this gun. I'm not going to melt it down in Iraq 88 this thing. But I am going to put it through its paces and see what it's capable of. Again, the gentleman from Arizona that bought one of these, he shot the heck out of it, and it was pretty accurate for being in that budget-minded realm of AR uppers. So hopefully I have that kind of luck. Again, if you're looking for a battle rifle, like, you know, everything breaks down in the world, I would build one really solid rifle, or maybe 2 or 3, maybe in the BCM realm, something like that. My other rifles, I mean, they're solid. They're solid. Again, I don't know much about this company. The other companies that partook in making these parts and me putting them on there, besides ATI, they're pretty solid. I mean, I've never had, a lot of people have talked about the Anderson lowers and how they're garbage. I've never had a problem with mine. They've seen the function, and I haven't had anything out of spec on my lowers, on my personal lowers. I have 2 of them, and I don't have a problem with them. So I've heard stories about, you know, some stuff not being to spec on these lowers. It can happen. I mean, look at some firearms out there in the world that don't work correctly, so you could get dinged with it. Again, I like the rifle. It feels good. Hopefully there is a little bit, hopefully I can get rid of this wobble from another YouTuber. YouTube's a wonderful place. I got a lot of friends. I don't know if you can hear it. There's a little bit of wobble, not much, where the upper meets the lower. The dude named Crazy Scotsman. A lot of the people I hang out know who Crazy Scotsman is. I was on a chat with them. I think it was foreign and domestic, and we got to talking. And I was messing around with a rifle before YouTube got skittish about firearms, being on live chats and all that jazz. And he taught me a trick about your little foamy earplugs that you put in there that everybody loses, or the one-time users. You can stick them down below in there, inside the receiver itself, and then when you put it down, it kind of takes the wobble away. I did it with one of my ARs, and it worked, man. It worked. So kudos to Crazy Scotsman for giving me that little trick. So if you have those little orange foamy ones, or the tricolored ones, kind of put them down there underneath where the lower and the upper connect, in the back by the buffer tube, down in this little area down in here, and that could get rid of your wobble. if you got a little bit of wobble in there, like ARs always do, that'll sure it up. Either that or just build a badass rifle. But this is the rifle I built. We're gonna shoot it in the next coming days here. I got some turkey hunting to do, so it's not gonna be anytime soon right now. But I do have quite a bit of ammunition to shoot through this gun and put it down and downrange and see what this build is capable of doing. Again, I'll make a list of how much the parts cost for this individual build. I did it with the other ones that I built, and some of them, like my D-Tom build that's on the channel that I always show off, that's one of my favorite builds. That one came under $300. I did get a couple of good deals on parts like the upper and stuff, so always look out for that, because you can build a real good rifle on a budget. You really can. But again, testing out these budgie lowers that I can't find a ton of videos on. Be wary. You do get what you pay for. So they're fun to build. They're a challenge, especially if you're kind of messing around with tools that aren't up to spec for building ARs. But it's a great experience. I built one, and I built one with Cindy and my son. You can see him, Sharkbait, the little guy that's on here, and you can see him on my Instagram when we go to the range and stuff. We built that rifle. I just shot it with the Wolf ammunition, and it functioned correctly. Had a little bit of trouble with the magazine, but that seems to be over with and resolved. So, I mean, there's so many options for ARs right now. It's pretty much the do-all. I see AKs coming back, but if you want to start out before you do your AK build, build one of these ARs. It's not hard. Unfortunately, you can't see the stuff on YouTube. There is a little bit of that content out there, maybe. You never know. But it's definitely on stuff like Gunstreamer and guntube.org, those platforms that promote freedom and the help of people in the gun community. I mean, look at the times we live in. I don't have to explain that to you. So the budget build kind of didn't get so budget. I'll add up all the parts and all that jazz. And again, just to reiterate, what really helps you out in the long run of building these rifles is a boatload of spare parts, ton of them. If you find them at gun shows for free, or you're paying way under cost for these parts, pick them up. A lot of these parts came from like the detent springs and stuff, from just parts that I picked up through gun shows. And then some places that had sales or things like that, and you don't buy 2 or 3 of the oops kits. I know Anderson makes all those oops kits with the detent springs and things like that. Pick those up and just throw them in your drawer, and then when you go to build some of this stuff, you can use those parts, and it'll save you because you've already bought them. They've been sitting there for quite some time. I watched a video on a different platform where this guy just whipped out a big old box of AR parts, and he built a complete lower with them. Just a bunch of random stuff he had collected over the years. So that will save you in the long run making these ARs. But we'll go and shoot this thing in the next coming weeks. We'll see how it does. I'm a little skeptical of it, and I'm going to be for just some of the things that I've encountered with this upper at this point. But you never know. It might turn out to be a really good rifle. There's potential there. Whether it materializes, we don't know. So, with all that being said, I'd like to thank my old and my new subscribers. Just the people that zip through my channel. I greatly appreciate it. like, comment, subscribe, share all your favorite gun content. Please go visit Gunstreamer and guntube.org. And if you're interested, I know there's some videos on there that will help you get you motivated into building a great rifle, a budget rifle, or one of them badass rifles. It's not hard. Don't be intimidated. And with that being said, like always, guys, we'll catch you on the new one. Or, oh God, on the new one. On the next one. It's late. 1 o'clock. It's time for bed. Catch you guys on the next one.